Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and welcome to Field Test. I talk a lot of theory here on the channel, but thinking about good cards will only get you so far. At some point, you have to sleeve up your ideas and take them out for, well, a field test. But first, a few calls to action. The footage you're about to see is replays from my livestream, which are going to be every Friday on YouTube. If you want a heads up on when I go live next, or if you want to keep up with future GoldenNova goodness, please consider subscribing, and you can keep an eye out for future updates on my Twitter. So, value extraction aside, it's time to talk about Adamatia. Here's my first draft of the deck, a brew that combines the colorful spelunkers with a heaping helping of Kawaki Maru and a dash of Block Dragon, adding other utility rock monsters to taste. I call it, yes, I've been playing since Raging Battle, why do you ask? Block Dragon provides the theme with another way to resist removal effects, and it can conveniently grab all three of the tuners at once with its search effect. Combined with a suite of monsters that are walking negations, we plan to overwhelm our opponent with card advantage going second, while keeping interactions open for our opponent if we go first. Let's go to the test footage. So our first game is going to be against Dragon Maid. We lead with the field spell Laputite, and they're able to chain with the big Earth Dragon Maid. Thankfully, this does leave a monster on board for us to special summon Analyzer, something that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. This lets us excavate into the Water Gem because we always get exactly what we need. Going into Dragite, normal summoning Guardian, we go ahead and tip over 5 from the top. Leaving a free material on board felt like a bad idea, so we just went ahead and put it back. We pass turn over to them, and they're going to try and normal summon Parlor, but with Ascend, we're going to negate that with Guardian. They try to go back into the game with Hospitality, which we'll negate with Dragite. They do have a monster reborn to get Nurse Dragon Maid, but at this point the writing's on the wall. They don't have anything available to get them back into the game, and they concede. This next game is against a big synchro strategy. I lead by normal summoning Sentry Soldier of Stone because I completely misread how Seeker works, and I just leave the field completely open for them to do whatever they want. They're going to use Junk Converter, and they're going to go into Junk Speeder. Yes, the strategy enabled by the new Magical Hero set and the Master Rule 5 conversion. We're going to see what this deck can really do. But unfortunately, all they end on is a Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend and a punch for a big amount of damage, but we do get to continue our plays. We're going to normal summon Raptite, and then we're going to special summon both Sentry Soldier and a properly activated Seeker. We're going to tip over a few cards off the top of our deck, and we're going to get Overload because we don't want to let the Synchro strategy get back into the game. We make Bryonac and then bounce the Tyrant and then punch a few of their little tuners. We pass turn, and they go ahead and activate Tuning to search another card. Oh hey look, that's a familiar face. Synchron Carrier is going to give them a double normal summon, bringing back Junk Converter with the new Junk Synchron, but when they try to make Tyrant Dragon, we're just going to use Overload, and we're going to try to end this thing. Adamatia Sign will bring out Seeker. Seeker will tip over a few cards off the deck, but we know what it's going to be. We already set the Leonite using Sign's amazing secondary effect. We're going to go ahead and use it to reset the Sign on top of our deck, and then Leonite will, in turn, put the Sign back in our hand. It's just incredible, folks. We're also going to banish some cards for Block Dragon, and then sweep in for game. Game 2 is going to be remarkably similar to the first one. Junk Converter will ditch a tuner to search Junk Synchron, which will bring back Converter, which will Synchro Summon for Junk Speeder. We're going to see a bunch of tuners hitting the board, including the Junk Synchron, Quick Draw, Jet Synchron, and Satellite Synchron. Yes, for some reason that's seeing play. Now, the new Gold Box Red Dragon Archfiend is hitting the field here, and it is super intimidating. Fighting 6,000 attack is pretty devastating, but not when you have Kawaki Maru Guardian to stop the negation. Yep, that's right. We can't blow it up because it's immune to effect destruction, but that does mean that we're completely open to stomping them with Dragite. A few extra steps on the way though. We're going to go ahead and draw an extra card with the Water Gem, and then we're going to excavate one more time to field Wall, just in case they get any funny stuff about having a spell activation. We're going to make Leonite to see if we can grab anything, and oh hey, the field spell. Absolutely perfect. Going to make Dragite, and then stack 5 rock monsters on top of our deck, all of them being Adamatia, and their entire field is completely gone. With nothing impeding us, we're just going to go ahead and play Adamatia Sign to bring back Leonite. I figured I could end the game right there, but then I realized that it only summons in defense position. We still take a huge chunk out of our opponent's life points, and we pass turn over to them. They do have a very stocked hand and are able to play out the strategy basically the exact the same, except in this case they get to add a Satellite Synchron on top of that, because reasons. I still don't see why anyone would still want to include that, except for the fact that it's the only level 2 Synchron that's worth playing. They go ahead and make Tyrant Dragon, and they go ahead and blast the entire field, leaving us completely open, but the deck is nothing if not resilient. We're going to go ahead and reset Dragite using the Water Gem's ability, summon Analyzer, and they concede. I ran into another Adamatia deck while I was playing, and I wanted to showcase it to see the differences in their design. We go ahead and normal summon Analyzer, like a pleb, and use the field spell to make sure we get the Water Gem. That draws us a card, and it's Researcher! That'll tip over another 5 cards off the top of our deck. We find Overload and put it to the field. I love negating inherent summons. We'll make Dragite and also summon Block Dragon. This will keep Overload safe even though we have no cards in hand. They go ahead and use Righty Driver and Lefty Driver. I assume that not only gives them access to Halka Fibrax to summon the tuners out of the deck, but it also has more Earths in the deck so they can summon Block Dragon. We do what we can to stop them, but it's not enough. They make their own Block Dragon and then use Analyzer to tip over some more cards, get Raptite, and they go ahead and Synchro Summon for their own Dragite. They go ahead and dig 5 down, and they have enough to bounce our Field Spell, our Dragite, and our Block Dragon, leaving us completely vulnerable to their attacks. We take 3,000 damage, and it's our turn. We have to draw something incredible, but we only get the counter trap, so we have nothing to do. I really should give up at this point, but I really want to see what they can do, so they play Adamatia Sign to get Analyzer, which lets them stack another tuner on top of their deck, which they can't summon in this scenario, but at this point I just assume they're trying to show off. They get Leonite anyway, so they can stack another card, use Dragite to try and bounce my back row because they're afraid that it's a drowning Mirror Force, I suppose, but at this point they go ahead and make Union Carrier. This is an interesting pick. I guess it gets the right attributes out of the deck, but that's the end of the game. Okay, so this was just a fun thing that I found while I was playing. My opponent leads with Chain Material and Necrofusion, allowing them to make a 10 Material Tiara which rips every card out of my hand, and also sends some cards to the extra deck to the graveyard to search a fusion spell for them. But thankfully we had enough material to make Block Dragon, their Tiara explodes, they summon a Nuku to try to clear our field, but Block Dragon protects itself, and they concede. Alright, this is where things get serious. We've run into a massive contender for the new format, Dinosaurs. With the unbanning of Lithosagem and Miscellaneous Saurus still being at 3, dinos can make huge boards while bypassing almost all interaction. Let's see how we do. We go first and we'll normal summon Analyzer. We're going to go ahead and tip over the top 5 cards, and we find Overload. We like negating things, and we're not going to Synchro Summon. We wouldn't be able to use Dragite very effectively, so we reveal a card to keep it safe. They normal summon Oviraptor, we go to negate, they chain Miscellaneous Saurus, but it's not on the field yet, so Oviraptor goes to the graveyard. Unfortunately, they hard drew the Lithosagem, so we can't stop them from doing anything. They blow up a bunch of their baby monsters, get Oviraptor back. They haven't activated its on summon effect yet, so they get that. They're going to go and summon Giant Rex and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and oh my gosh, Dragagius to double the attack power. They really wanted me gone. Well, game 1 was pretty quick. Let's see if we can get them back on game 2. We lead with the field spell, but not having anything else, we normal summon Guardian, protect it with our Water Gem, and pass turn. They don't get Lithosagem this turn, but they did hard draw Draconic Diagram, which is almost worse. They go ahead and use Oviraptor, we go to negate with Guardian, but unfortunately, unlike Overload, it's still on the field, so Miscellaneous Saurus will keep it protected. Lost World will give us a token, and now they have enough monsters for Lithosagem to get summoned. Looking through my extra deck, thankfully I play multiple copies of the Synchros, so they can't undo my entire game plan, but it looks like my opening hand has already done that for him. They're going to go ahead and extend pretty far, making Dolka, using the field spell to keep the token safe to summon Pankratops. Good god. Then they swing in for a lot more direct damage, ending with True King of all Calamities. The game is basically over at this point. With them calling Earth, I can't use the hand effect of Analyzer to get a free material on board, and even Dragite can't do anything because, now that it's Earth, I can't just tip over all their monsters. They're going to go ahead and use Pankratops to get rid of my monster, and then extend even further. Miscellaneous Saurus gets them Oviraptor, which is not only going to end up getting me a token, but they get to search Overtext Coatl. They're going to go ahead and try to blow up my token, which will get them another free card. Hey, it's that Coatl. And then they just swing in for game. Well, that loss stung, not gonna lie. However, we'll use that setback to craft an even finer deck in the future. Let's go over what works, and what can be worked on. The tuners are just as powerful as I'd hoped. The density of rock monsters that we run means that we never whiffed an excavation, something that other archetypes have had to worry about in the past. And we were always getting something meaningful. If it wasn't the gems that helped us draw and set up future plays, it was the Kwaki Maru, who were more than happy to contribute their 1900 attack to the cause. Dragite is an absolute blowout, especially when combined with the field spell. It's some of the strongest removal on a monster I've ever seen, and if you can avoid disruption, it'll undo an entire board by itself. And finally, having access to Guardian, Overload, and Wall is just really awesome. The deck already lacked main deck monsters with great attack power, and now it has it in spades attached to negation effects. But it's not all upside. The deck doesn't really operate the way it's supposed to without the tuners. They're your essential play starters, and if you draw the gems and no tuners, your opponent will bury you. The synchros are easy to make, but hard to manage. Dragette is an exceptional negation body, but only if you've managed to find the water gem. Otherwise, it's just doing its Blue Eyes White Dragon impression during your opponent's turn. And lastly, Block Dragon is great in theory, but in practice it leaves a lot to be desired. I've been spoiled by Block Dragon Burning Abyss, giving me a plethora of Earths to banish for its summon, but even with the increased Earth count from the Kawaki Maru, you can barely summon it without sacrificing cards in your hand. The same can be said for the other utility rock monsters. Sentry Soldier is fun, but I don't know how often I'll be using it to make Naturia Beast instead of the other synchros. Having Nibiru is nice though. Well, time to go back to the drawing board. Do you have the urge to peer review my performance? Please comment with your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. It would absolutely mean the world to me. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.